The wind carried grit through the batwing doors, stinging Eli Carter's eyes as he nursed the last inch of warm beer he could afford. His stomach had been growling for 2 days, but his pockets had given up longer ago. The saloon smelled of tobacco, sweat, and the sharp tang of spilled whiskey, same as every night. Yet tonight it felt heavier, like trouble was breathing down his neck. He kept his hat low, brim shadowing the place his pride had been. Cards slapped, boots rasped on warped planks. Somewhere a piano tried to play itself brave and couldn't quite do it. Eli counted his coins and came up with 1 copper. And a prayer. The copper was real, the prayer was not. A shadow fell across his table, tall, straight back, too still to be comfortable. "You hungry, cowboy?" Eli didn't look up right away. Men who opened with questions usually came with answers you didn't want. He set the glass down and lifted his eyes through the sting. The stranger wore a weather-bleached duster and a hat pulled low enough to hide most of his face. His beard was the color of dust. He had a lean, mean patience to him, the kind of patience that outlasts other men's nerves. "Depends on who's asking," Eli said. "A man ready to pay." The stranger set something on the table, not loud, not soft, certain, a coin. Eli had seen gold in a few shapes and silver in more, but this wasn't any common mint, thicker than $1, edges beveled in strange cuts like teeth. On one face a rearing horse against a star, on the other a neat staring eye. Not crude work, careful work. The eye caught lamp glow and tossed it back like it was living. Eli reached. The stranger's hand stayed on the coin. "Spend it quick," he said, "or not at all." "What's that mean?" "You'll learn," the man said. He slid the coin across the scarred wood. "Call it payment." "For what?" "For what's coming." He turned before Eli had another question ready and drifted through the bat wings into the wind. Eli stared after him, jaws set. Then he stared at the coin. It seemed heavier than its size. He pinched it up between thumb and forefinger. Cold. Too cold for a room like this. The bartender drifted over. Thick wrists, tired eyes, flour dust apron that hadn't seen flour in months. "We closing your tab, Carter, or adding another sad story to it?" "Closing," Eli said. He showed the coin without quite letting go. The bartender's face did a small private thing. "What's that?" "Silver," Eli said. "Silver and something else." The bartender didn't touch it. "You get that honest?" "I got it hungry." "That ain't the same." "It'll spend the same." The bartender weighed the room with his eyes. Folks were busy not noticing. "Maybe," he said. "Let me test the kitchen's memory." Eli watched him take the coin away between 2 fingers like he was moving a scorpion by its tail. He glanced around. Men kept their talk short and quiet. The piano player brushed grit off the keys and failed at cheerful. One of the painted women stared through the smoke at Eli with a frown that said, "Don't." The plate that came back would have made a preacher swear. Steak, potatoes collapsing under butter, bread sharp enough to cut your mouth. Eli ate like a man repaying a debt to his own bones. Halfway through the plate, the bartender returned with 2 whiskeys. "It's spent," he said. "It'll spend again," Eli answered, and meant to sound casual. He didn't. The bartender set the second whiskey down and didn't let go of it. "You see the man who gave you that?" "I saw a coat and a warning." "You hear what he called it?" He didn't. The bartender glanced toward the door. "Room feels wrong." "Room always feels wrong," Eli said. "Not like this." The bartender looked at the piano. The song had thinned until it was barely there. "Feels like a storm you can't see." Eli swallowed the last of the bread, washed it down. He felt the coin in his pocket like a cold stare. "Keep it out of sight," the bartender said. "Why?" "Because some things look back." Hoofbeats reached them first as a vibration through the floorboards, then as a sound, slow, measured, heavy. Conversation snipped off. Chairs squeaked closer to walls. The piano fell quiet, the last note lingering like a held breath. 10 horses stopped in the street. You could count them without seeing them. You could count them by the way the wind went shy. A man's voice outside, calm, deep. "We're looking for a piece of silver. Hand it over quick. Nobody gets hurt." The bartender didn't look at Eli. "Don't touch your pocket," he mouthed. No sound came out. The batwing doors drifted inward. The The first rider stepped through, a thick man in a blood-red duster, face square, eyes the color of forged iron. He didn't wear a badge, he wore certainty. 9 men followed and spread along the room like ink in water. Dust shook off their shoulders and hung in the lamps. Eli slid his hand from his coat to the table, flat, empty. "Evening," the redcoat said. No one answered. He took stock quietly. He had the look of a man who measured rooms and threats and exits. His eyes stopped on Eli, skimmed past, then settled back with a weight you could feel across the distance. "We're here for a coin," he said. "Horse and star on one side, an eye on the other." "Sounds pretty," the piano man muttered, voice too loud. No one joined him. The redcoat put a knuckle on Eli's table. "You seen it?" "Coins come and go," Eli said. "Not this one." "Then maybe it's not a coin," Eli said. A couple of the riders shifted. The redcoat didn't. "It belongs to us," he said. "Who's us?" "The Brotherhood of the Black Spur." The bartender dropped a glass. Nobody jumped at the crash. They were too stiff to jump. Eli let a beat pass. "And never heard of you." "You have now," the man said. "What's the coin worth?" Eli asked. "More than your hide," a rider near the door said. The redcoat lifted a finger. The rider shut up. The room held as much silence as it could carry. "Here's the offer," the redcoat said. "We search nice. We find what we came for. We leave. Or we search not nice. We leave this place lighter in men and heavier in ghosts." The woman with the red hair laughed once hard, like she was breaking something on purpose. "You always talk this much?" "Only when I'm saving time," the redcoat said. His gaze returned to Eli. "Stand up." Eli didn't. "Stand," the man repeated. Not loud, not soft. Final. Eli stood. "Coat off." "No." The man's lips creased. "You're either the bravest in here or the dumbest." "Both," Eli said. "You carry what ain't yours," the man said. "That coin's mine," Eli said. "You didn't bleed for it." "I bled plenty." "Not the right kind." "What kind's that?" "Ours." The last word fell like a nail. Eli felt the room tilt. He thought of the stranger's warning. Spend it quick. Or not at all. "Search him," one of the riders said, bored of talk. "Don't," the bartender said. "It came out before he could throttle it." "Why not?" the redcoat asked without looking. The bartender swallowed. "Because he's a customer." The redcoat almost smiled. "So were we once." The first hand reached for Eli's coat. Eli moved before it found him. The table kicked hard into the redcoat's legs. Men flinched. Eli ducked left, burst past the nearest chair, shoulder driving a rider aside. The first shot cracked and went wide, chewed a hole in the piano. The second shot splintered the door frame. "Back!" the bartender yelled, pointing at the kitchen with a jerky elbow. Eli ran for the swinging door, shoved through, and met steam and fire and swearing. The cook yelped and ducked. A pan went over. Eli hit the back exit with his shoulder and bounced into the alley, gravel skidding under his boots. He caught a glimpse of the moon, white as a coin, before he cut right and shot down the narrow run between buildings. Shouts piled behind him. Boots pounded. The saloon coughed gunfire. He cleared the alley and sprinted for the livery. The stable's big doors were thrown in. Horses tossed their heads, eyes white. Eli dove inside, found his mare's stall by habit and smell, and grabbed the bridle with 2 hands that didn't want to work together. "Easy," he said. He didn't bother with the saddle. He swung up bareback, hissed air between teeth as his bad hip bit him and dug heels. The mare leapt like she'd been waiting her whole life to leave. They shouldered out of side doors. The first of the riders spilled into the stable from the front. A shout followed. A bullet smacked the lintel and showered them with rotten wood. Street, then flats. The town dropped away behind like a bad story you didn't have time to finish. The night opened wide and hard. Hoofbeats gathered behind him, 10, exact as a clock that never lost a minute. "You can't spend it, cowboy," a voice carried. "It'll spend you." Eli didn't answer. The coin pressed his thigh like an extra bone. He angled for the nearest rise. The mare stretched. The pads of her hooves thudded the baked ground and thudded again. Eli could feel her saying, "I'll do it. You just hold on." At the ridge, he slid off, breath fogging. He crouched and put his ear to the dirt. The night had sound even when it pretended not to. Under the wind and the mare's breathing and his own rush, he heard the slow drum of 10. Close? Not close enough to see. Close enough to find? He took the coin out and held it up. The eye on the silver caught a sliver of moon and threw it back sharp. He had the stupid thought that it had moved since he'd last looked, turned a hair. Focused. "What are you?" he whispered. The mare flicked an ear. She didn't like the coin. Animals knew when metal wasn't just metal. He slid it back into his pocket and led the mare along the ridge, keeping low. A flick of light winked in the hollow below. A campfire, small, alone, luck, or a trap. He chose to call it luck because traps came whether you named them or not. The camp belonged to an old prospector, a scarecrow of a man with a rope of a beard and eyes too bright for that face. He squatted by the coals, turning something on a stick that didn't look much like rabbit and even less like anything legal. "Evening," the old man said without looking up. "You're late for company." "Didn't know there was some," Eli said. "There ain't, less you count me." The prospector sniffed the air and finally lifted his eyes. They were a pale, sharp blue. "Smell iron on you." "I've been around iron." "Not like that." Eli glanced back at the ridgeline. The night was a solid wall. 10 riders behind me. "I know," the old man said, as if they were discussing weather. "You got what they want." "Everybody keeps saying that." Eli unhooked the canteen from the mare and took a long swallow. He handed it over. The old man drank like he was arguing with the water. "What is it?" Eli asked. "A marker," the old man said. "A promise hammered into silver. The Brotherhood gives it when they owe a life." "Owe who?" "The man who bleeds for 'em," the old man said. "Or the widow of that man. Sometimes they pay out clean. Sometimes they try not to." They could have asked me nice. They don't ask. They take. The old man studied Eli with open rudeness. "How'd you get it?" "A stranger gave it to me." "Then he gave you his trouble," the old man said. "I prefer payment in cash." "You got cash," the old man said. "Just happens to buy blood." Eli stared at the coals. "What if I hand it back?" "They'll cut your hand off," the old man said. "Not cruel, not kind. They like a joke when it's mean. What if I run? They'll run longer." "What if I fight?" The old man smiled with half his face. "Then you'll need more than a mare and a bad hip." "You got something else?" "I got a map in my head," the old man said. "This country's a book I can still read after dark. There's a mine out east, old, empty of gold, full of holes. Holes are good. When men are coming straight at you," the old man said, "a sideways hole is church." "Why help me?" The old man turned his stick of meat, sniffed it, shrugged, bit. "Because I hate their coats." "Your reason's sound," Eli said. "You got a name?" the old man asked. "Eli." "Sam," the old man said. "Not my name, but it's the one I can remember quick." They didn't make a fire bigger than the old one already made. They didn't talk more than they had to. Eli ate what Sam handed him and tried not to ask what it was. The night pressed down. Somewhere far off, a coyote gave a short, disappointed yip. The wind went around them like a man changing his mind. Close to dawn, Sam rolled out a brittle map on the ground with his finger. "We'll cut along the wash, keep the ridge to our right. When it dips, we go left into the mesquite, then we lose the horses and walk the last half mile. There's an entrance nobody uses. We'll use it." "You certain?" "I don't say the word certain," Sam said. "I say the word try." They were mounted when the first shot came. Dust jumped by Eli's boot. The report walked down the ridge and slapped them in the back a heartbeat late. "Go," Sam said. They went. Brush ripped at their legs. Rocks took swipes at their hooves. The riders rose over the horizon like a row of tombstones. They didn't whoop. They didn't rush. They came on like a train. Sam's mule was slower than Eli's mare, but steadier. They hit the wash and followed it, not because it was easy. Sand gave and shifted, but because it didn't leave the kind of mark 10 men could ride straight into. Bullets stitched the bank behind them. One found a stone and whined past Eli's ear. He ducked, swore, kept the mare running blind and right. The mine showed itself as a dark comma under a shelf of rock. Sam pointed with his chin. They slid off, slapped the animals away, and dove into the mouth of the earth. The cool hit like a blessing you didn't trust. The dark did too. Eli blinked until the world made shapes again. The tunnel cut low and narrow. Spoiled timbers leaned like drunks. The air tasted of damp and old ore. "Left," Sam said, "then right. then down. Eli followed the voice and the scrape of Sam's boots. Behind them, the riders bled daylight into the entrance. A lantern flared, shadows jumped. They ducked into a side void where Sam, true to his word, had once put aside a crate like a little piece of doubt saved for a useful day. He pried it open with a knife that had seen more rope than bread. Inside, 2 rifles, old but clean, a coil of fuse, 4 sticks of dynamite, and a bundle of matches in oilskin. "You planning a war?" Eli asked. "Always," Sam said. He shoved a rifle at Eli. "This one shoots high and left. Remember that when you're sending your prayers?" Eli checked the action. Oiled, honest. They set 2 charges near the mouth, low and staggered. Sam worked quick, hands sure. He pinched the fuse and measured it with his eyes. "Long enough to get us back," he said. "Short enough to singe their eyebrows." "You did this before," Eli said. "I've seen men I didn't want to see twice," Sam said. "This helps with that." Lantern glow swelled at the far end. Boots clicked. Spurred whispers slid along the wet rock. "Now," Sam breathed. Eli lit the first fuse. The hiss was a snake at their feet. He lit the second. They ran. They reached the elbow in the tunnel and pressed back into shadow, 1 on each side, rifles up. The riders came on, careful and smooth, lantern held high. Eli saw the red coat first, shadow thrown huge on the roof. The man's face had lost nothing in the dark. He looked like he belonged down here. "Too slow," Sam murmured. The dynamite thumped the air heavy. The ceiling dropped a curtain of rock and dust. Sound slapped them backward. Then the second charge went, closer, meaner. Eli's ears rang until they didn't. When the grit fell out of the air, the entrance was a wall. Sam coughed. "That'll—" Hoofbeats thudded from deeper in behind them. Eli looked at Sam. Sam looked at Eli. "Other way in?" Sam said. "Of course," Eli said. They moved. The tunnel forked, then forked again, then narrowed to a lean. The hoofbeats rounded corners, sure as if the man in the red coat had built the place himself. They reached a chamber where the floor dropped out into a black shaft. A rope hung there, old, frayed, insulted by years. A ladder leaned and wept rotten rungs. "Choices," Sam said. "Fall, climb, or fight." "Fight," Eli said. Sam nodded once. "That coin?" Eli touched his pocket. "Here. Keep it there," Sam said, "or throw it." Eli looked at the black mouth of the shaft, looked back at the tunnel. He could feel the coin like a second heart. "Not yet," he said. They braced, rifles up, boots set. The red coat came first, lamplight bluing his face. He saw them and didn't blink. "We'll take it," he said. "Come get it," Eli said. The men behind the red coat moved to his shoulders, 1 left, 1 right. The rest bled in behind, shadows with iron. Eli's breath shortened into something he could use. The rifle's butt found his shoulder like it had been made there. The coin in his pocket burned cold. "Last ask," the red coat said. "Give it." "No," Eli said. The red coat sighed like a man finding the end of a long road he'd known he'd walk. "Then we balance the ledger." "Try," Eli said. He squeezed. The mind cracked like thunder, bottled, and the debt came due. The rifle slammed his shoulder. The flash lit the tunnel white. The man in the blood-red duster jerked, staggered a half-step, and stayed standing like the bullet had only reminded him of his spine. A rider behind him folded. Sam's shot came a blink later. A second man dropped to his knees and grew very interested in the floor. "Back," Sam barked. Eli worked the lever. The action felt like a hinge on fate. He fired again. Stone spat chips beside the redcoat's ear. The man didn't duck. He answered with a slow, deliberate shot that shaved a curl off the rock an inch from Eli's cheek. "Down," Sam snapped. They fell away from the mouth of the chamber as 3 more riders stepped into the lamplight and poured rounds. Splinters of rotten ladder jumped. The hanging rope danced and fell in a quiet whisper that made Eli's stomach lurch. "Left wall," Sam pointed. The chamber had a staved inside where the miners had tried to follow a vein that had lied to them. It gave a few feet of cover. Eli slid there on his hip, boots scraping, and slammed his shoulder against rock, breathing hard. Sam skated the other way, found a little darkness, and set the second rifle across one knee like a man laying out a deck he liked. "Count?" Eli asked. "8 now," Sam said. "Maybe 7, if that first one I shot keeps his promise." Boots drummed the tunnel. The riders slowed. They had learned the chamber's angle after one exchange and wouldn't hurry into another. Eli wiped blood from his cheek with the back of his hand and tasted the metal of it. The mine smelled of sweat and powder, old water, and new fear. "Why didn't he fall?" Eli asked, eyes on the red coat. "He did," Sam said, "inside." "That doesn't help me." "It will," Sam said. "Men who won't fall right away are men who fall all at once." A voice called from the tunnel, calm as a man ordering supper. "You got 2 options left, boys." "Only 2?" Sam muttered. "He's getting stingy." "Hand it over," the voice went on, "or we walk straight through you and pick it off your body." Eli edged a look. The red coat had stepped forward again. He had the lamplight high, its flame wobbling in the breathed air. His coat was darker now at the lapel where Eli's first shot had kissed flesh. He tucked a finger there and brought it out shiny. He didn't look bothered by the shine. "Talk's cheap," Sam called. "We can raise the price," the redcoat answered. "How many folks back in that town mean anything to you?" "Don't," Eli said under his breath. The redcoat smiled like he'd heard it in any way. "We pass through quiet. We can leave loud. That saloon, that church, the little school with the bell that never rings when it should. You make us chase. They'll pay for the horse you ride." Eli loaded air into his lungs and let it out slow. The coin pressed his thigh again. It felt like it had gained weight since the last breath. "Keep him talking," Sam murmured. He was tying a small package with quick fingers, fuse and dynamite, short and mean. "I don't want trouble for the town," Eli called. "You brought it," the redcoat said. "With your pocket." "I didn't ask." "You never do," the man said. "Folks who carry what isn't theirs always act like they didn't ask." "What is it to you?" Eli asked. "Coin's a coin." "It's a marker," the redcoat said. "A promise, our promise. It buys a life. That means we don't leave it in strangers' hands. We don't leave it with beggars and barflies. We don't leave it with men who run." "I'm not running," Eli said. "You're in a hole," the redcoat replied. "Holes are just slow running in one direction." Sam gave Eli a look. "Ready?" "For what?" "For his eyebrows," Sam said, and lit the short fuse. "Now," he hissed, and lobbed the stick low and sweet into the tunnel mouth. The riders yanked back. The blast bucked the chamber again, smaller than before, but loud enough to unhook the balance in a man's ears. Smoke blossomed, rolled, and the lamplight danced. Eli and Sam sprang forward and fired into the confusion. A rider fell with a sound like he'd broken a long promise. Another spun away, shouting. The redcoat ducked at last, not because he'd learned fear, but because rocks had learned to fall. "Back," Sam said steady. "We can't hold this room. They'll push us and we'll go over that hole by accident." Eli glanced at the shaft. It sat there like a mouth that had been waiting. "There another way?" "There's always another way before there isn't," Sam said. He pointed to a narrow cut on the right, half hidden by a slump of timbers in a memory. "That one." They slid into the side cut. It was tight enough to scrape shoulders and grab hats. The rock was damp and raw. The ceiling squatted low, the ground pitched sly. The rifle felt too long. The breath in Eli's chest felt too loud. Behind them, the riders recovered their noise. The red coat spoke low and the noise organized. "Why the coin?" Eli asked, keeping his voice to a whisper that wouldn't travel far. "Why make it?" "So men don't forget nothing," Sam said. "So debts get faces." "Faces get broken," Eli said. "That's the game," Sam said. "You're in it." "How many coins they got?" "A handful," Sam said. "They don't like owing. Makes 'em itch. They use money for most problems. Steal for the ones money doesn't fix. A coin like that, that's for when a man saves one of their heads or keeps their whole line from getting cut." "So if I wave it at the right man," Eli said, "he's bound to do what I ask?" "For one life," Sam said. "Yours or someone else's. That's the promise. They'll kill to keep that promise scarce." "I don't even want it," Eli said, and heard the lie. "You want what it means," Sam said. "Everyone does." "What's it mean?" "A way out," Sam said. "The cheapest thing a hard world sells." They moved deeper. The cut bent and bent again. They met another tunnel and offered choices that all looked wrong. Sam hesitated long enough to listen to the breath of the place, then jabbed a finger left. "Faint draft," he said. "Air goes somewhere." They followed the air. Behind them, the hoofbeats smeared and muffled, then sharpened again. The riders were mapping as they moved, memory and instinct and luck. Town, Eli said half to himself. He saw the saloon in his head, the bartender's tired eyes, the red-haired woman with her brittle laugh, the piano man's hands. They'll go back if we don't show, Sam said. They'll make a point. Then they'll ride the point to where we are. I can't let that happen. Sam stopped. You can't stop everything. Pick the thing you'll own and the thing you'll regret. Eli stared at the black middle distance. If I hand it to them, they leave. They'll leave the room they're in, Sam said. They'll walk outside and decide what else needs ending. How do you know? Because I used to ride with men who made decisions like that, Sam said. Eli turned his head. You? I was younger and dumber, Sam said. One of those got better. You left? They let me live, Sam said. The world's accident that way. You know their names? Names change, Sam said. Debt doesn't. The ground leveled into a drafty hall that looked more made than found. The walls were timbered. Someone had once believed enough in this vein to spend money on it. A side drift held crates rotting in neat stacks. Sam tried one with his boot. It collapsed into a cloud of old smell. Damn, he said. Was hoping for more boom. Rifles, Eli said, nodding at a half-open crate in the next drift. Sam pried up the lid. Inside lay a nest of mice and one surviving rifle so rusted it looked like it dreamed about the men who'd once polished it. No good. A shout bounced towards them. Close, tinny. Eli and Sam moved to cover, took a knee, and waited. Two riders appeared in the lantern glow, careful, guns out, eyes thin slits. Eli and Sam fired together. One dropped outright. The other flinched, fired wild, and fell over his partner. Eli ran up, grabbed the live one by the collar, and dragged him into the drift. The man cursed until Eli slammed his head gently against a beam. Name? Eli said. The man bared teeth. You dead. Name? Matty. How many left? Eli asked. Enough. Your boss? Matty grinned with a sort of sick pride. Red. That's not a name. That's all of him you get. Sam leaned in. Matty, he said pleasantly. I used to set traps for wolves. You know what wolves respect? Matty spat. It just landed on his own chin. Time, Sam said. They respect not wasting it. So don't. Matty said nothing. Eli patted him down quick. A spare cylinder of rounds, a strip of jerky, a little leather notebook he kept too close to his heart for it to be nothing, and a tin the size of a biscuit that rattled when he shook it. Eli flipped the tin. Inside lay 4 odd little nails with caps. Percussion primers, not for guns. Sam whistled low. Blasting caps, he said. That's their doorbell. Eli handed them over. Sam slid them into his pocket like they were eggs. What's in the notebook? Eli asked. He thumbed it open. Not words, not drawings. Lists, tallies, dates, sums with no dollar signs. Marks that could be names if you squinted. A symbol at the top of every other page. A spur with a blackened rowel. Ledger, Sam said. Brotherhood keeps one with ink and one with bone. This is the ink. Debt, Eli said. Debt, Sam agreed. Men who think the world is a set of scales spend their lives poking at the pans. Matty tried to kick. Eli's palm found the man's throat and sat there gently. Matty learned about quiet. Leave him, Sam said. He'll learn about thinking when he wakes. They moved on. The tunnel rose, the draft sharpened. A new smell slid in, sage clean and thin, air that had seen stars. Up, Sam said. They climbed through a squeeze that stole shirts and skin. Eli's shoulders groaned apart. His hip sent the old telegram up his spine. You are a fool and you are still alive. The crack widened. Moonlight washed down gray and kind compared to the lamplight they'd eaten. They came out behind a curtain of scrub into a slot under a low rim of rock. The desert lay below, blue and true. Eli breathed. He didn't know he'd been starving for air until his chest filled with something that wasn't mine stink. Here, Sam said. He found a narrow ledge with a view back to the mine's main mouth. The blast had collapsed a slab across it, but not sealed it. The lamplight glowed pale from within. Dark figures moved, small then bigger. The riders were clearing rock by hand, by pry bar, like ants with muscle. One stood on the slab, coat-catching moon. The red. He bleeds slow, Sam said, but he bleeds. What now? Eli asked. Two choices, Sam said. Run for the flats and vanish until your footprints forget you, or go back to town and stop 'em from using folks as levers. Both are bad. One is worse. Eli stared at that red coat. The man had moved like a tide through everything Eli owned tonight. He would move the same through a street full of people too tired to learn a new lesson about pain. We go back, Eli said. Sam nodded once. Knew you'd say that. You approve? I approve of picking the thing you can live with, Sam said. Sometimes that happens to be the dangerous thing. The good news is danger pays attention, makes you feel alive on the way to dead. They slid along the rim and dropped into a little wash that ran the right direction. The ground held their weight with more care than they deserved. They moved slow and quiet, stopping to listen at every bend. Why you stop riding with men like that? Eli asked as they trotted. Woke up, Sam said. How? Looked at a boy, Sam said. His ma had just quit crying because she ran out. The boy asked me if I was taking his papa's boots with me. He said his papa didn't need 'em anymore, and I looked like a man whose feet hurt. What did you say? I said yes, Sam said. Then I threw him in a fire and got on my horse and kept riding until I couldn't hear myself anymore. They crested a ridge. Town showed itself small and brittle and shining. A lantern moved along the main street. Another came to meet it. The bell in the little schoolhouse hung dark and wrong, tilted like a tooth waiting to fall. We'll come in from behind, Sam said. They'll have eyes on the main road and ears out their necks. Who's going to help us? Eli asked. People who don't want to die, Sam said, and one bartender who hates seeing his floorboards get blood in the seams. They crossed a dry creek and slid into the shadow of the church. The door stood open. The place smelled like old wood and things people had whispered at it over years. Eli put a hand on the back of a pew and felt the grooves carved by restless fingers. He imagined the red coat standing here deciding what to ruin. Footsteps scuffed outside. Eli pulled Sam into the dark and watched through a crack. Two of the riders walked past, not hurrying, checking side alleys and porch shadows. They had the stroll of men who'd found the worst thing in a place and were waiting for it to show its head. They went on. Eli exhaled. Saloon, Sam whispered. He'll use it as his office. They crept down the narrow run beside the undertakers, cutting past stacked pine coffins that looked like open mouths. The back of the red eye glowed a dirty amber. A shadow crossed the kitchen. The cook's silhouette, neck bent, shoulders hunched. Still alive. Good. Eli slid to the back door, cracked it, and went in. The cook looked up, eyes big, ladle in hand like it was a weapon that had seen war. You, he whispered like a curse and a prayer. Quiet, Eli said. How many? 5 inside, the cook said. Rest out, making people stand in the street. Red coat? Front, he said. He took your seat. Eli's jaw tightened. Barkeep? Behind the bar. Getting told how to run his own place. Any guns in here? Knife drawer, the cook said, nodding, and a frying pan that's seen things. Sam pulled open the knife drawer and smiled like a man meeting old friends. He tucked 2 into his belt and handed Eli one. Don't use it unless they make you shake hands with it, Sam said. Eli peered through the crack in the kitchen door. The saloon floor sat full of townsfolk, standing in clumps, hands visible. The red-haired woman had her arm around the piano man's shoulders, like she wasn't sure whether to hold him up or use him as a shield. The bartender stood behind the counter, drying nothing, eyes dead and pinned on the red coat, who leaned an elbow where Eli had eaten. The red coat had cleaned the blood off his lapel. He looked fresher than the rest. You're wasting my evening, Red said to the room, pleasant and bored. We'll take him when he comes. We'll take it from him. I'd rather be riding. You'd rather be sleeping, so let's all want the same thing. A rider stepped to the bar and tapped the counter with a coin. Eli's coin, no. A coin like his coin, horse, star, eye. The bartender flinched and looked away so hard his neck made a sound. See, the rider said, there's more than one. Sam breathed a thin laugh at Eli's ear. Of course there is. Plan? Eli asked. Make noise in the wrong place, Sam said. Move folks out of the right place. How? Sam rifled the spice shelf, grabbed a sack, and bit it open. Flour, he said. He tossed a cloud into the kitchen hearth. The cook yelped and pulled back. Sam took a burning sliver of wood. held it against the flour cloud, and the air bloomed a soft fireball that rolled quick and died without catching. "Do that, Big," Sam said. "They'll think the place is going up. People panic, rioters scatter to drag folks out or shoot the smoke. We pull the bartender, the woman, the piano man, anyone near the door. Gunshots in a crowded room get messy, and Red doesn't like messy that leaves bad stores. He'll call his boys back. We run through that hole." He pointed at the back alley. "Then we leave town the way we came and make 'em chase us again. That saves folks," Eli said. "Doesn't solve it." "Solutions come in part 3, Sam said. "Right now, we write a note that says, 'We ain't dead yet.'" The cook gulped. "You're going to blow up my kitchen?" "Only the air in it," Sam said. "You'll still have a stove to cuss at." They worked fast. Sam slit 3 flour sacks, tied bits of burning rag to the ends of long spoons, and stationed the cook by the door with a wet cloth. Eli slid to the edge of the saloon and lifted his voice just enough to reach the bartender. 2 breaths, he mouthed. The bartender's eyes flicked. He scratched his ear like it itched. "Ready?" Sam whispered. "No," Eli said. "Good," Sam said, and touched flame to flour. The air thumped into brightness. Heat kissed Eli's face. The kitchen became a white room that folded at the edges, and then snapped back. Smoke rose. A sheet of fire licked out the door like a dog and vanished. "What?" A rider started, swinging toward the back. "Fire!" someone shouted, who wanted to shout in something that would let them move. "Get 'em out!" Red's voice cracked across the room. Not panic, not fear. Command that had learned loud was faster. Riders grabbed townsfolk and pulled them toward the front. The crowd surged. Chairs went over. The piano man fell, and the red-haired woman yanked him up by the collar. Eli shoved through the gap. He caught the bartender's sleeve. "Move." The bartender didn't argue. He came over the bar like he'd trained for it and bolted into the kitchen. The cook grabbed him and shoved him toward the back door. Eli pushed for the red-haired woman. A rider cut in front of him, pistol up. Eli slammed the man's wrist with the edge of his hand. The gun clattered. Eli kicked it under a table. The rider lunged. Eli's knife found cloth and a bit of something that made the man grunt and sit down. Eli grabbed the woman and the piano man and hauled. Red turned at last. Their eyes met. Red smiled. It wasn't kind. It wasn't cruel. It said, "There you are. Go." Eli told the woman. She ran. The piano man ran. Eli back toward the kitchen, knife low, eyes never leaving Red. "Tell him," Red said to the room, gesture casual. "Tell him to show me what's in his pocket." "Come take it," Eli said. "Soon," Red said. A rider tried the kitchen door. Sam brained him with the frying pan. The sound was offensive and satisfying. Eli dove through, slammed the door, and helped throw the bar. Another flash of flour fire rolled the ceiling and made the beams complain. "Out," Sam said. They poured into the alley. Bartender, cook, red-haired woman, piano man, Eli, Sam. The night ate them quick. The alley's far end opened to the dark side of town where the houses were thin and the ground spread in a kind of apology. They ran. Shouts nodded behind them. Riders clattered into the alley mouth and choked on smoke. One fired blind. The bullet tore a curl off the corner of the Undertaker sign and left the painted skull winking. They reached the back fence of the blacksmith's yard. Sam jumped it like a bag of bones with opinions. The bartender wheezed but found spring. Eli shoved the piano man over, and then the woman. He went last, bad hips snarling. On the far side, they stumbled into the dark and crouched among coal wagon wheels. "You got them out," the woman said, panting. "Some," Eli said. He counted heads against a hope. "Not all." "Not yet," Sam said. The bartender grabbed Eli's shirt and yanked him close. "You brought them." "I know." "You brought them," the man repeated, like rehearsing a verdict. "I know," Eli said again, and didn't shake the hand off. "And I'll take them away." "How?" Eli reached into his coat and took the coin out. He held it flat on his palm. Moonlight put an edge on the eye. The woman sucked in air. "What is that?" she whispered. "Trouble," Sam said, "wrapped like a gift." "Give it to them," the bartender said. "Throw it in the street. Let the dust have it." "They'll take more than that," Eli said. "Let them take me," the bartender said, surprising himself with his own mouth. "Let them call it square." "No," Eli said. "Then what?" "We make a choice," Eli said. "We make them chase me away from here." We keep your roofs on your houses. We keep your women from watching men die in the doorway." The woman's jaw went tight. "Take me with you." "No," Eli said. "Why not?" "Because they'll shoot anything near me," Eli said. "I can shoot back," she said. "You can," Eli said, "but this ain't that day." Sam touched Eli's shoulder. "Red's not done with this place." "I know," Eli said. He looked at the coin. He thought of the stranger in the duster, how he'd slid it across like a man passing a key to a room full of snakes. He thought of hunger. He thought of the taste of that steak and the way a single meal had felt like a betrayal and a promise at the same time. "Listen," Eli said to the four faces peering at him in the dark. "When I ride, they ride. They'll leave town because they like chase more than they like arson. You keep folks inside. You keep water where it counts. You don't play heroes in the street." "You sure?" the bartender asked. "No," Eli said, "but I'll make it true." The woman caught his sleeve. You come back?" "If I can," he said. "Say you will," she said. "I will," he lied, and shook her grip free. He led them through the dark to the livery. The animals snorted question marks. Eli found his mare by feel. She rolled an eye at him and snuffed in his hair like a mother who wasn't convinced. "Just once more," he told her. Sam caught the mule's lead and frowned. "Old girl can't do another run like the last." "Then don't," Eli said. "You move like a man going home, but you don't get there. Keep to the shadows. When they go past, you turn around and see to the town." Sam studied him. "You're making the circle bigger around yourself." "That's the point." "You keep the coin, then," Sam said. "I keep it," Eli said, and closed his fist. "You wave it at Red," Sam said, "and you'll learn what a promise costs." "I plan to," Eli said. "Plan to live, too," Sam said. Eli managed half a smile. "I always plan. It's the following through I'm shaky on." He swung on to the mare, bareback again, knees tight, a hand in her mane. He felt old and young and sick and clear. At the alley mouth he turned. The bartender stood with fists useless at his sides. The woman's chin was up and her mouth was a flat scar. The piano man looked like he'd been carved out of soft wood and left in the sun too long. Sam regarded Eli with those bright, used-up eyes. "Ring the bell if they come back fast," Eli said. "It's cracked," the bartender said. "So am I," Eli said. "Still works?" He eased the mare into the street and then kicked. She leapt. He didn't head straight out of town. He took the long line past the front of the Red Eye. Red stepped onto the boardwalk as Eli shot past. Their eyes met again. Eli held up the coin so it caught the lamplight and threw it back through Red's gaze, and he laughed. Not loud, not mean. Laughed like a man inviting another to dinner where the table was the ground. "Come get it," Eli shouted. Red smiled. "I will." He lifted a hand. His men gathered like iron to a lodestone. Eli heard bridles jingle and leather creak, and the shiver of 30 little decisions shaking themselves into one big one. Eli kicked harder. The mare stretched into the dark. He took the road not for speed, but because men like Red loved roads. He wanted to give them what they loved, right up until he didn't. Behind him, 10 hoofbeats climbed into the night. He rode for the flats, the low scrub, the wash that ran toward the old mine and then away from it, toward the bad country that broke a man into pieces and made him assemble himself again. The coin burned cold in his pocket, heavy as a second heart. "Spend it quick," the stranger had said. "No," Eli said to the air, to the mare, to the men behind and the men ahead, to the idea that had unbuttoned his life and climbed in. "Not yet." He angled toward the black ribs of the mesa. He knew they'd split there, some left, some right, trying to box him. He wanted the split. He wanted pieces. The desert opened its throat. The moon hung low and watchful. The night smelled like sage and iron and choices. Behind him, the riders came. Ahead of him, the dark made room. He rode into it. The desert floor ran flat for a mile before the first rise broke it into folds. Eli kept the mare low and fast, feeling her stride stretch under him, lungs pulling in the night like she meant to drink it dry. Behind him, the 10 riders clung to his trail, close enough that he could feel the hoofbeats in his ribs. He didn't look back. Men who looked back lost forward. The mesa loomed ahead, black ribs knifing up into the moonlight. Beyond it, the Badlands sprawled, broken ground, gullies, and stone teeth waiting for anything dumb enough to ride through without thinking. He aimed for the narrow wash between the first two ridges. The hoofbeats behind him shifted, split, just like he'd guessed. 4 peeled right to cut him off, 4 went left to flank, and 2 stayed dead on his tail. Red would be among those 2. Eli didn't need eyes to know it. The mare's hooves found the dry wash. Pebbles spat from under her shoes, the wash bent sharp left, then dropped. Eli let her take the slope fast, feeling gravity shove at his back. The walls rose on either side, narrow enough that the moon shrank to a strip overhead. The first bullet came like a bug past his ear. He ducked low, felt the wind of it flick his hat. He hauled the mare around the next bend just as more shots cracked behind him. The echoes turned them into 100. He needed to lose them, not outrun them. Outrunning 10 men meant you eventually ran into 11. The wash opened suddenly into a shallow basin choked with mesquite. Eli yanked the reins and slid off the mare, slapping her rump toward a narrow game trail that vanished into brush. She hesitated, ears flicking, then bolted. Eli dropped flat in the shadows under a bent mesquite, rifle ready, breathing through grit. Hoofbeats pounded closer. 2 shapes burst into the basin, Red in front, another rider, half a length behind. They slowed, scanning. Red's head turned, his eyes working the darkness. Eli kept the rifle's bead on the second rider. He squeezed, the man fell like his strings had been cut. Red's head snapped toward the shot, but Eli was already rolling deeper into the brush. A bullet ripped leaves above him, another kicked dirt into his eyes. He didn't stop moving. He slid down a narrow animal burr in the basin wall, just wide enough for him to squeeze through on hands and knees. It stank of fox and old kill. He dragged himself along, the rifle banging his side until the tunnel spilled out onto a ledge halfway up the far wall. From here he could see the basin below, Red kneeling over his fallen man, shoulders tight. Red didn't shout. He didn't rage. He just stood, brushed dust from his coat, and looked up toward the ledge. His face was unreadable in the moonlight. Eli slipped back into shadow. The ledge path wound along the wash wall, narrowing until Eli had to edge sideways. Twice he thought about the drop and told himself not to. The path eventually spilled onto open rock. From here he could see the Badlands stretching ahead, a jagged country of ravines, hoodoo spires, and gullies where sound went to die. He moved fast. Somewhere behind, the riders regrouped. They'd find his mare's trail, realize she was riderless, and start hunting on foot. That gave him time. Not much. Half a mile into the Badlands, he found what he was looking for, a sinkhole half hidden by brush. He knew these lands well enough to remember the sinkhole's throat dropped into an old lava tube, tight, twisting, and with more than one exit if you knew where to crawl. Sam had shown him once, years back, when they were hunting stray cattle and found the earth willing to swallow them instead. Eli eased into the sinkhole, sliding on loose grit until the rock swallowed the moonlight. The air went still cold. He crouched listening, no hoofbeats, just the thump of his own blood. The tube curved hard left, then again, forcing him into a crouch that made his hips scream, and kept moving. 10 yards in, the light from behind was gone, replaced by a faint glimmer ahead. He knew that led to a wide, low chamber, a place where he could wait, think, maybe set his next play. He reached the chamber and went still. The glimmer came from a crack high in the wall, a finger of moonlight slipping through. Dust motes drifted in it like slow snow. Eli sat with his back to the wall and took the coin from his pocket. The eye gleamed in the pale light. For a heartbeat it felt like the chamber's air grew heavier. His thumb brushed the engraving, and he thought, no, he was sure. He felt the faintest vibration, like a distant hoofbeat carried through the metal. "You're not just a promise," he whispered. "You're a leash." A scrape of stone pulled his head up, not from the crack above, behind him in the dark throat of the tube. He slid the coin back into his pocket and raised the rifle. A figure stepped into the faint light. Sam. "You run noisy," Sam said. "You follow quiet," Eli answered. Sam crouched beside him. They split. Red took 4 men through the wash after you. The rest looped back toward town. Eli's gut went cold. Town. Could be pressure. Could be punishment, Sam said. "We don't know yet." "We can't let them," Eli began. Sam cut him off. "We can't be in 2 places at once. You keep Red busy. The others don't have their hammer. I'll circle back, see what's real." Eli nodded. "If they're after the town, I'll do what I can," Sam said. "But you keep breathing. They kill you. Coin or no coin, it's over for everyone." Sam slipped back into the dark, leaving Eli with the thin line of moonlight and the weight in his pocket. Eli waited until the sound of Sam's retreat was gone, then slid toward the far exit of the lava tube. It opened into a narrow gully choked with boulders. He climbed onto one and looked back. The basin lay quiet under the moon. Too quiet. Then movement. Red, stepping into the open. Alone. Eli froze. No other riders in sight. Red looked straight up the gully. His voice carried like it had a road to ride on. "You can keep running, Carter, but every mile you ride, someone back in that town pays for it." Eli said nothing. "You got something that belongs to me," Red went on. "Give it, I leave your bones where they are." Eli's fingers touched the coin in his pocket. The threat wasn't just the chase anymore. It was the rope Red was tying around the town, tighter with every step Eli took away from it. He made his choice. The gully was narrow enough that Red's voice seemed to come from all directions at once. Eli stayed on the boulder, rifle loose across his knees, eyes locked on the lone figure below. "You hand me that coin," Red said, "and this ends." Eli's voice came back flat. "Not for them." "Town's already marked," Red replied. "Only questions how long it takes to clear the ledger. You give it, maybe they get another day." Eli thought of the red-haired woman's chin set like a gun hammer, the bartender's eyes tight with anger, the piano man's small, shaking hands. "You're not interested in days," he said. "You're interested in control." Red's lips twitched, half a smile, half a confession. "Control's what keeps men breathing the way they prefer." Eli slid from the boulder, boots crunching grit. "That coin's not payment. It's a leash." "It's a promise," Red corrected. "A life owed, and we decide how it's collected. You didn't earn it. That makes you a thief. Then I'll be a thief who makes you bleed for it." Red's gaze sharpened, but he didn't reach for his gun. Not yet. "You could have run clean into the night, but you keep circling. Means you care more about them than yourself. That's how men get dead quick." "That's how men make sure the right person does," Eli said. From the gully's mouth came the scrape of boots. Two riders stepped into view, Red's last shadows. They fanned out, rifles low. "Nowhere left," Red said. "No Sam to guide you out a back hole. No tricks." Eli pulled the coin from his pocket and let the moon hit it. The engraved eyes seemed to drink the light and spit it back, sharp as glass. "You want it?" Eli said. "Come take it." Red moved first, smooth, measured. The two riders followed, closing the circle. Eli tossed the coin into the dust between them. All three heads dipped. The moment they did, Eli fired. The nearer rider went down hard. The second flinch brought his rifle up. Too slow. Eli's second shot took him off his feet. Red didn't draw. He stepped forward, scooped the coin, and looked at it like a man checking a pulse. "You waste good chances," he said. "You waste good men," Eli answered, and swung the rifle up. Red's hand blurred. Steel flashed. Eli's shot rang out at the same instant. Red's revolver bucked. The echo swallowed everything for a long second. Eli staggered back, heat burning across his ribs where Red's bullet had grazed. Red stood very still, his revolver dangling from his fingers. Then the coin slipped from his hand and hit the dust. He looked down at the dark blooming on his chest, almost curious, before sinking to his knees. His eyes found Eli's. "Ledgers closed," he rasped and pitched forward. The desert was quiet again except for Eli's breathing. He picked up the coin, warm now, not from life, but from blood. Sam appeared at the gully's edge, rifle in hand. "Town's clear," he said. "The others pulled out when they realized their hammer wasn't coming back." His eyes dropped to Red's body. "Guess I know why." Eli turned the coin over in his palm. The eye looked duller now, but it still watched. "What happens if I keep it?" "They'll send others someday," Sam said. "Brotherhoods don't like loose ends." Eli slipped it back into his pocket. "Then I'll keep riding." Sam studied him. "You're taking their trouble with you." "That's the point," Eli said. They rode into town at dawn. People stepped out of doorways, faces pinched from a night of waiting. The bartender met Eli's gaze, said nothing, but gave a single slow nod. The red-haired woman crossed her arms and turned away so no one could see the relief. Eli didn't stay. By the time the sun cleared the rooftops, he and Sam were riding east, the coin's weight pressing against Eli's side like a reminder and a warning. The threat was gone, for now. But as the wind picked up across the flats, Eli knew trouble would always know his name. And one day, the Brotherhood would come to collect.